Welcome, my lovely online family, once again to our regular weekly gathering on the virtual settee of YouTooSpain by the virtual pool. Today we'll be chatting to our good friend Chris from Upsticks.es, all about getting your timing right when you're arriving in Spain on the non-lucrative visa and you're importing your car and getting your residency and sorting out taxes and everything else. Timing is the key. And as usual, we'll also answer your questions on the live chat about that and anything else to do with moving to Spain and living there. And Chris has a very special announcement to make all about the TV show Place in the Sun. And there's something extra exciting for you at the end of our time together. It might just be huge prizes this week for the best questions and comments, so stick around for that. If you slept in and you're watching the recording of the show, afterwards you can find the time codes and chapter headings for each of the answers you need in a line there and in the video description below. So you can skip to wherever you want. But no, watch the whole chat. It's so much more fun. Come on then, gather round. It's time for our cosmic theme tune. Here we go. Let's dance. Yes, thanks to the groovy wizard Lee Spreadbury for our cosmic theme tune. Thanks, my darling. You can find a link to his funky YouTube site below. Now, before I bring in the amazing Chris, 3 quick pieces of information. Number 1, you can thank us for the helpful things you learned today by using one of the 2 links in the video description below. With one, you can buy me a coffee. The other, you can make a regular donation through Patreon. And that's especially for close members of the family, just like you. And it's where you get loads of extra videos and stuff behind the scenes. Oh, yeah. Number 2, you can find loads of information, articles and links on our website, YouTooSpain.com. Join the mailing list and I'll write to you every month. If you normally look at that on a mobile device, then check it out again. It's been updated. Due to my technical incompetence, it wasn't updating the same as the big computer version, but it is now. That's all been sorted and it will be like that in the future. So there's lots more on there and it's updating all the time. 2 more blogs will arrive over the next few days. Number 3, last but not least, something get me teeth in, scats. Something that a lot of people leave until the last minute is sorting out your currency exchange, whether it's for buying a house or transferring your savings or making regular monthly transfers of your pension or investments. Even if you've already moved, you can do this. This is something you can save a lot of cash by doing early on, especially with what's happening to the exchange rates right now. So you can get free advice and help from our great friends at Smart Currency Exchange. They've got a link below and on our website too, just for you, and you can get a free account with them and your own free personal advisor on the end of the phone anytime, day or night almost. And using that link below is a really good way of supporting us and holding on to a great exchange rate at the same time. It's a win-win. Do it today. They're lovely. I wouldn't recommend them if I didn't like them a lot. So without further ado, let's meet my wonderful guest. It's Chris from Upsticks. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Very well, thanks. Very well. We're all good here.
Excellent. So we're approaching the end of August. Can you believe it?
I can't, thank goodness, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a holiday month for Spain, but no, it's not. It's not working like that, is it?
No, it's not. It's been an interesting July and August
Yeah.
in our industry.
Talking of which, let's get on to the embassy update. Let's just get on screen. Alan Lackenby sent a message on, I think it was one of the Facebook groups. I think it was on my Facebook group, and he was replying. He said he's in a tricky situation. Earliest appointment he could get was 29th of August, booked a train ticket to get to Edinburgh, only to be told yesterday that they've cancelled. And I think the next available appointment won't be until the end of September. And if we wait as long as Ian that he was talking to, might be lucky to get over to Spain by Christmas. So let's have the updates. You've spoken to some of the embassies, haven't you, in the UK? What's going on?
Yeah, so Alan's one of our clients, and that actually came through to us. I mean, Edinburgh, it's been a great. We've gone back to, the August of old, should we say? So we had a couple of years of COVID and everything else, and but this is our first experience really. Obviously last year we had the collapse with the students. This is this year's first normal year, and the Edinburgh have been really off the ball, unfortunately, in this. I mean, they've cancelled some appointments now due to unforeseen circumstances that were in August until September, but haven't actually reassigned the appointments yet. So they tell everybody that the visas, they're not giving people tracking at the moment in Edinburgh, but they're so people can track their numbers, because normally when you walk away from the consulate, you can wave a piece of paper which allows you to track the visa process on a web page, which is Mi Consular. So they're not giving those out, and when we've been requesting them, they just said, no, you're gonna have to wait, and we're not telling you, we're not giving you the online tracking. They basically just said that. Tell everybody it's gonna, the last email we got, they said no, it's a month for student and 3 months for NLVs. But then yesterday we had somebody whose passport arrived after 6 weeks who went for Edinburgh, no warning whatsoever. They'd left the passport with them, and they turned up in their house with a visa in it. So you know, that's how it works. Manchester, I think Manchester and London, what's happening with them at the moment is across the board we're experiencing big delays with immigration now this end. So when we had the strikes with the consulates in the UK, evidently the hold up was there with the NLVs, but we were absolutely working fine this end. So immigration seems to be going really well. And since then, obviously the strikes have ended, the consulates have kicked off, doing really well with appointments, churning them out, and now across the board, not only with non-lucrative visas, but for stuff that we submit as well this end, like the renewals and EU family members, immigration seems to have like a 2 month to 2.5 month backlog. So what's happening with the consulates now during the summer is evidently people who are waiting for their visas, either them or mainly companies, are hammering the consulates asking where the visas are, but the hold-up's here, and the consulates have sort of stopped talking to professionals. You know, so it has worked better than this year in terms of appointments. There has been appointments in August which just didn't happen last year, but again, there's still a lot of delays.
And it's a bit random. There's no, like, you know, for the ones that are coming back early, they're not easier applications, are they? They're just very
random. I mean, we've had some Manchester. The thing is, we were pulling our hair out even up to the last week, because you know, with the visas and sometimes you speak to people, you don't really know what to say, because it's like we are in their hands. But we can chase and stuff. And then suddenly last week from Manchester, we had a flurry of, oh, here's a visa, this one's coming to you. They sent us 3 emails telling us that the visas were ready, but didn't tell us what file number or surname it was related to, and then didn't respond to the email when we requested it. So, you know, crazy things like that are happening across the board at the moment.
Crazy. Let's get on to some of the people on the live chat, and anybody that you want to give a shout out to. I'll say particularly Sarah Bolt, you sent a message before we came on the air, and we'll come to your question in a bit because I've got it up on my screen up there, so we'll answer all your questions there. Everybody else, Alan Lackenby, yes, we've just read out your message. Morning, Alan. Karina and Anthony and Kerry, good morning from Akula, France. Catching up on finishing the painting, halted by the heat wave. Yes, you and us together. And Barry from Unitech is there. John Bentley, good morning. John Nelson says, morning team, see you soon, John. And Jason from Jason's Web, good morning, Scats and Chris. And finally, Sally Moffat, good morning. She has a question, we'll come to that. No, actually, let's answer that one right now. I think there's an easy answer. She says, when you get your NLV, you're not allowed out of Spain for more than 2 months every year. Is this going out of Spain or out of the EU? This is the question. You're actually allowed out for up to 6 months, but the reason people say 2 months is that you're only actually allowed out in the first 5 years. You're only allowed out for 10 months if you want to get permanent residency at the end of that. Otherwise, you'll have to keep on doing updating your NLV and fulfilling all of the requirements for that. Is that right, Chris?
That's right, yeah. So averages to 2 months a year. I mean, we always, when I'm speaking to people, always make sure that it's not misinterpreted that you can only spend 2 months out. But if you spend up to 6 months out, that eats into the total of the 10 months that you're allowed. If your focus is to get the larga duración at the end of the 5 years, basically.
Yeah, which I suppose for most people it is that. So.
Yeah, I mean, some people, to be honest, there are some people who put a 3-year structure in place, and even more now we're speaking to people who are planning on 12-month sabbatical and seeing what's going to happen at the end of that. But, you know, people who are retiring certainly normally stick to that, where they really want to get to the end of that 5-year period.
Yeah, because it gives them more rights as well. And of course, you don't have to keep applying for your visa every year or 2 years. There we go. Hope that answers your question, Sally. And yes, we'll come back to Sarah in a moment. So any shout outs that you have, Chris? Have you found your list?
No, I had a list here. I don't know. It's been one of those weeks, to be honest with you. But I've got a list here. I'll save it to the next one. Did want to just give one shout out, though, to a client of ours called Agnes, who I know is probably watching today, and she's got her visa a couple of weeks ago, and it's been a right rocky road for her. So I'm very, very happy she's here. So yeah, I'd like to say hi.
Brilliant. And actually, I've got another one. Catalina and I don't know if this is Sabine. They moved over recently, only a month ago, down into Torrox Costa, just down the road. And I was at the notary sorting out my Irish citizenship paperwork. Then I have to let them know that I've moved. And she was in the notary office and recognised me. So good morning to you if you're watching, guys. I'll see you soon for a coffee. So,
I'm sure you're a local celebrity now in Computer, aren't you?
Yes, it's the third time I've been stopped by someone saying, it's scat. It's it's a very strange thing, but I think I'm D-list or E-list or Z-list or something, celebrity. Well, there you go. It's quite funny, but it's nice to share a coffee with people who have only seen you on the telly, you know.
Yeah, no, it's nice. It's nice to do. I one day I'll have to come up and do a live in Computer. I think we'll do it on the square or something. Just I've never been to Computer, shamefully.
Oh, you should. Yeah, we'll do it in the main plaza if it's quiet enough. It seems to be busy all year round in there. It's a lovely place. So it's time for the special announcement and the big announcement. I'll tell you, we've done all the shout outs. Yes, let's do the big announcement. Do you need a drum roll?
Go on then.
There we go.
Great. Yep. So we are going to the NEC, A Place in the Sun. We've got a stand at the Place in the Sun exhibition in Birmingham at the NEC from the 23rd of September till the 25th. Woo! So we're going to be there to answer all the people's questions about non-lucrative visas, residency, etc., etc. It's our first ever adventure like this. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we're really pleased. It's taken a lot of work and research to sort of get that lined up as well, and continued work. And yeah, that's going to relate to the prizes at the end of the show as well, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, we've got huge prizes really. We've got how many? 10 tickets to give away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's fantastic. Yeah. We've got what we'll do is we'll give away some on the show, and we'll give the rest away to people who are watching the recording afterwards. So, what should we do? Should we ask a question for the live people? Now people watching on the live chat, and we'll give away those prizes at the end of this show. And we'll ask a question towards the end for people who are going to put the answers in the comments below the video. And we'll give the rest away on that. So make sure that you're available on the 23rd, 24th, 25th of September. You don't have to go every single day, do you? I suppose you can just go for a day.
You don't have to go a day. I mean, I want to. That's what we were discussing before the show, weren't we? I mean, we really, one of our things why I want to be there. I'm going to be with Jessica, who works in Alicante doing our appointments there. Of course, who's also a radio show host there as well, so she's well known on the island. And you know, we run a booked call system here. obviously we're a small company, we have limited availability. We like to speak to everybody, but the calls are half an hour, you know. So I have a set day. It's mainly Wednesdays where I'll do the calls, or Jane who works for me, we're normally talking to people who are wanting to come immediately. There's, you know, so sometimes it's frustrating if people can't book a call for a month or so, but obviously the rest of the week we're working on our current clients as well, actually doing what we need to do. So generally Wednesdays and Fridays is when I take calls, but with now the last 18 months, the way things have gone, where we've gone through the withdrawal agreement, now we know what's happening with general immigration. We know the non-lucrative visa, albeit that we've been through COVID strikes and everything else. We can pretty much see in the next 2 or 3 years what it's going to look like for people who are retiring to Spain. So, you know, this is our opportunity maybe for people who haven't been able to book a call but are coming in 2023, 2024, or even later to come and meet us and have a chat. You know, so and I'm there on the Friday. I'm there all day, Saturday and the Sunday as well. I'll be closing the show there. So if anybody wants to come, even if they're in the, you know, the preliminary sort of plans of coming over and working out what they need to do, you know, we've got taken from the last 18 months experience that we've got, or 20 months experience from the NLVs, we can now tell them, you know, so it'd be a great time to meet people.
Yeah, and you love having a chat.
I do. Fortunately, I do waffle on, unfortunately. Yeah.
Keeping those calls to half an hour must be a big challenge for you.
It is. At one point, I was like, I can bring these down to 20 minutes, you know, because we've got we have like a core focus. The call structure is normally, you know, I'll ask people what their plans are. I'll go through the red flags to see if they actually qualify, and then I'll leave a little bit of space at the end to actually try and sell our service. You know, we are a business, you know, so. But I never really get to that. I never get to that bit. I'm like, what do you do? Oh yeah, this is how much you do, you know. So, but yeah, so I do have to watch my garbling at times.
A lot of people have been saying that about the place in the sun thing, that mostly stalls people trying to sell you houses, but it's good to have you there because you can answer questions about residency all day.
Well, that's why we're going. I mean, I went to the London one as a spectator as such, and to meet the marketing manager Mark, because there's nobody sort of from our industry what we do has done a stall before there. Now, what I can say on this one, I mean, is that there's also, I mean, there's another company there that we work with in the UK who deal with Spanish cars. They line up Spanish cars for people to buy before they come over or sell them to them. So, you know, there's a bit more variety going to this one. But I did see the opportunity. I said, when I went there, you know, if there was 5 people hammering out residencies and talking about residencies and telling everybody, I might not have gone, because we might have been drowned, you know, small fish in a big pond. But when I went there, I was like, we need to come here, because there's you know, everybody, the property side is pretty much tied off, and it is a great way to get an idea of what's available. But then, you know, the sort of the residency side wasn't. So, so yeah.
There you go. Karina says we're hoping to attend, Chris. So hope to see you.
Brilliant.
What's the question? We didn't plan a question in advance.
What's the question? Oh, that's a good one, isn't it? Do we have to one about residency, or can we just ask a random question?
We could ask a random. What about a random question about Spain?
A random question about Spain. Okay, yeah, that's what we could do. Let me think of a random question about Spain.
Just looking through all of that. Yeah. Maybe we'll come to that later on. Everybody, hang around.
We could ask about the date, the writing of the Constitution, or something about history.
Yeah, the date of the writing of the Constitution. Do you know it?
No, I'm gonna have to Google it now. I've failed my nationality test. I was just about to say it.
Yeah, what a giveaway. Be the first person to repeat back to you exactly what you've said. Anyway, so yeah, there's the question. What's the date of writing of the Constitution? See who can give us that. They're all going to be on there.
Google it to make sure right.
They're all Google it. Yeah, you'd better Google it. So make sure we get it right. So while you do that, today's hot topic is about timing. And
Yes.
we always say timing is crucial to the whole residency process, and also it's really different for everyone. There's lots of people who are coming in from the UK, especially, might be bringing their car with them, and they want to get it registered, but they've not sorted out a permanent place to live yet, and they don't know how long they can drive for. They also need to get appointments, like sorting out the NIE, the TIE card, get on the Padron. How do they sort everything out and get it all in the right order and do it in the short space of time they've got?
Yes, of course. So now, I mean, the timing is crucial. And we've seen this summer as well that you've got to have. So initially, it's really hard to have a footprint in both countries, but you have to plan to do so. You know, we saw once the strikes finished, we saw that the visas were coming out in around a month or so, which was great. And a lot of people made a lot of plans, you know, surrounding what they've seen online, etc., etc. But now suddenly there's a delay in the visas, and they're taking between 7 and 9 weeks to come through. So I think the first thing is for people who are looking now, you know, to come over in the future, 2023, late 2022, which, I mean, people who are coming late 2022 should be applying already. Then you know, you need to be prepared. So if you're selling, it's really hard, because if you're selling a property and you've got nowhere to go, but you need those funds to fund the visa, what do? You know, so certainly in that circumstance, you really do now, even now with the consulates retaining the passports, all 3 consulates retain passports, and you've got anything from what we've seen the last 4 months, we've seen visas being released from anything from 7 days to 90 days. You know, so you've got to plan for being in the UK during the time that they have your passport. Okay. Don't forget also that you have got, once you get your visa, you have got the 3 months of the visa period to get into Spain. And then once you arrive in Spain, you've got your 30 days to register the visa. This end, the Estanjerías have been very understanding about lack of appointments, and if it has gone over the 30 days, to be honest with you. You know, to the point we had a lady, a Canadian lady, who hadn't quite realised what stage 2 was, and it was like 2 days before the end of the visa, and they were fine with that. You know, so I'm not advising people do that, but I'm saying that, you know, they have been understanding about that this end. But the biggest thing, what we were talking about here, was with vehicles, and it's something that's come up a lot with us and our clients, is the vehicles and the difference between, for example, not having an NIE before you get your visa and having an NIE before you get your visa. And the reason being is, if you're importing your shekels, so we're going to concentrate on the cars now, but you're importing your shekels, evidently they will have to go through customs. And although you've got to prove your documentation from the UK to prove where you've come from when you go to customs and where you've been and where you lived for the last 12 months, when you're importing a vehicle, you also have to be registered with the tax office here. Now, people who've only just got an NIE number won't be registered with a tax office. So what's happening is, they're going to import agents, they're trying to import their cars, and they're showing the NIE on the visa, and they're saying it's not valid. It's not valid. They put it in the system. They're like, it's not valid. It's not valid. It is valid. It just hasn't been registered. Okay, so the first problem we had was actually finding someone to understand, because generally a Gestor or an accountant would do the registration. As we know, it's always a good idea to have one if you're going to Spain. And it was getting someone to actually understand that you could use the NIE in the visa there to register with the tax office, first of all. After that, obviously, the tax office want to see that you've registered before releasing your goods or giving you the waiver on the vehicle tax. They want to see you've registered that vehicle, your visa. Sorry. Now, That means getting a document, once you've done your appointment. We spoke about stage 2, didn't we, not so long ago? Getting your resguardo, which proves that you've registered it, and being registered on the Padron as well. Now, obviously, all of that takes a bit of time, doesn't it? So you've got to be prepared, and you can't, for example, order provisional plates for your vehicle until you've been through your stage 2 appointment. And so you've got to be prepared to get your ducks in a row, shall we say, in terms of how soon you need to do stuff. For people with NIE numbers, that's not a problem. If you've had an NIE previously, you more than likely did that because you've had some sort of fiscal interaction in Spain. You've got your registration with the tax office, which means you can submit all your paperwork ready to
go. So you need that in order to get your car registered. Just confirm and clarify. You need your NIE registered, and you need to be on the Padron.
Yeah, so to get your car through customs and excise, not paying tax, you need to prove where you've come from. There's a document called a P85, which proves that you've actually left the UK fiscally. It's presented to HMRC. There are other forms of proof that you can give to customs. Proof that utility bills, council tax bills. They want to see where you've lived for the last 12 months. They want to see you've owned the vehicle for 6 months, and they want to see where you've moved to. To prove where you've moved to, you need to have registered your visa, have your resguardo, and have your Padron as well.
Okay.
So that's just something to highlight, because we had a lot of people who said, they've gone to put their car through, and what's happened is they're telling me the NIE isn't valid. It is valid, but it must be registered with the tax office.
Let's just answer Annie Podmore's question that's just come up. Sorry, Sarah, we'll come to yours in a moment. I've not forgotten you. With the delays with issuing visas, when does the 90 days validity begin? Good question.
From your appointment, you mean? So where do they normally count the 90 days from for the issuing with the visa? Yeah, it's from your appointment date, because you'll get a I haven't got one here. You should get a document from the consulate which shows you a tracking number and the date that they've received the documents and they've started the process.
Okay, so if your appointment's delayed, you've got less and less time, a smaller and smaller window to get in.
No, I mean, it depends when they issue it. So for example, if your appointment's been put back, but you've finally gone to the consulate and you've handed in your documents, then they've essentially got 90 days to respond to you from that point. And then they'll issue your visa at the end. The only thing is if you said, if you went in July the 1st and you said you wanted to come to Spain on August the 1st, for example, and then you don't get your visa to the end of August, the likelihood is that they'll start the visa at the end of August. They're not going to start it, which gives you more time to get in at the end.
There you go then. That's handy to know. Yeah. Alan says, I can understand if I cancel the appointment to be made to go to the back of the queue, but as it was them and not even answering emails to make a new one, I'm finding it very annoying, to say the least. Yes, you and a lot of other people, I think.
It is. It's so frustrating, and it's not fair, it's people's lives. So it's I mean, you'd think that they would automatically issue the appointment. The other thing about Edinburgh is they do it on a Google Calendar basis. It's the only consulate that does it. And Google Calendar is so easy to switch a date around. It would be a lot better if they just said, this is your new appointment. It's tough, rather than, would you like an appointment in September because we just cancelled this one, and not answer the email.
Yeah. That would be common sense, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just need to say hello to Jackie Hughes. We answered your question, the one that you asked on Facebook there. They've been waiting 7 weeks now since the appointment with the consulate in Manchester, and they're homeless because they're staying with relatives. They obviously sold their house, but they're out staying their welcome there now. So sorry about that, Jackie. You're going through the same thing as an awful lot of people.
We have had, though, this week, Manchester seemed to have kicked into life, and other things, as you know. So the immigration is strange because the last 2 weeks in August you don't expect anything, but we seem to have that in the last 2 weeks of July and first week of August. There was just nothing at all coming from immigration. But the last 10 days or so, we've seen more movement. So we've seen more approvals. We had slightly strange approvals come through where they were approving a family of 4. The 3 dependents got approved, but the main applicant didn't. But they had all the money, so they can't approve the other ones without that. So, you know, stuff like that's been going on. But at least now Manchester this last week have seemed to kick into life, and we've had people receiving visas again. So hopefully that's a bit of good news for Jackie.
Brilliant. Let's go on to Sarah's question now. We've kept her waiting long enough. This is a tricky one. Where are we? No, it's question number 1. She's talking about modifying a non-lucrative visa after the first year. So she says, so assuming a non-lucrative visa is modified and a work visa is issued, does this need renewing? And does one then have permanent residency status? And does one have to stay in the same job for a certain amount of time to keep residency status? She says she's got lots of questions. There we go. What do you say to that?
Yeah, obviously your work visa would need renewing as well. So you work. So if you got a job towards the end of your NLV, or you modified it to at the end of your NLV period, if you got a job and you then became a lucrative visa because you were working. So as you discussed last week, didn't you, on the show?
Yeah.
Then you would have to still renew under those the same circumstances at the end of the 2 years and at the end of the following 2 years, because you're still in a temporary residency basis. And what you can't do is you can't be unemployed during the time, because your status, if you got another job, then I have to say we've never had that circumstance. Then I can't see as it would be a problem if you switch from one job to another, as long as you maintained work and you were earning the minimum required amount. What you would have to do is obviously communicate that to immigration and make sure you're stuck within your renewal period. But you still wouldn't get your larga duración until the end of the 5 years.
Okay. Does that answer everything, Sarah? Are you still with us on the live chat? Let's just have a look further up in case she says, she lives in Norwich. There we go. Will of working visa then allow permanent residency? Yes, we've answered that one.
I have to say, if you got at the end of an NLV, if you got a job, you know, which then you could move on to a working platform and then got a better job, that would be amazing. That'd be really lucky.
Yeah, that would be perfect.
Getting a job in Spain isn't the easiest. So getting one and then getting a better one to maintain your residency would be an amazing feat.
Good. So any more questions, Sarah, then just fire away. Or if you're not watching live anymore, then ask in the comments below and we'll get back to you. And there was a question, we were talking about this before the show, and I can't remember the name of the viewer because I've not got it on my screen in front of me, but it was all about her and her husband had split up. He's got a Spanish passport or Spanish residency. They had a child who's a Spanish resident, and she's hoping to move from the UK, and she's got guardianship of the child. Is that possible for her to go over? Does she need some kind of visa, or is there a way of joining up? I think this is to do with the family reunification video that I did midweek. I think she was asking on there. So is it possible?
I mean, it's the first thing, it's a very strange circumstance, isn't it? Because normally the people that we would deal with, the families coming over, the child is always a beneficiary of the status of the parents. Yes, the first thing we'd have to look at is what is the child's actual status in Spain. I mean, if the child didn't have residency in Spain, then no, I don't think there's a lot that she could do. If the child's got residency in Spain and legally the guardianship has changed, and and the child is evidently registered in a Spanish school, and so it's like might have even been born here. You don't know, you know. So that might be they might have been together in Spain. The child was born in Spain, you know. The father's here, and the child's here, and she may have unfortunately had to leave. The legal guardianship changed. Then there could be a case there for reunification because a child can't be without a legal guardian, can they?
No.
You know, and if that child is here under education, born here, whatever, and has residency, then you'd have to put the case forward to immigration that, yeah, like the video you did, that look, although it's in reverse, you can't have a child without a legal guardian. So in that case, you probably have to look at it like that.
It's normally isn't it normally the person who's in Spain who makes the application for that visa?
But it's normally the person in Spain that makes the application, so, and it can't be a minor.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that would definitely come under special circumstances because it's always up to the age of 21, you can take it. But it's always a minor who is a beneficiary of the parent. Also, depending on the legalities of the guardianship, if it's 50-50 and the parents and there's already the father's maybe got 50 here, 50 there, just tell me somebody's already got a legal guardian in Spain, so no, you can't come in on that basis.
Yeah. Does it matter whether the legal guardianship was made in Spain or in the UK?
That depends on the date of the residency of the child, I'd imagine.
Okay.
Because the circumstances under this circumstance is obviously evidently changed, hasn't it? Because a child would never have got a residency in Spain without a legal guardian. And during that period, if that child was a resident in Spain, then I say that the guardianship legalities would have had to have been done here because it was a resident in Spain. So if that means a Spanish court has decided to take guardianship away from the father and award it to the mother, and the mother's not resident, then you'd have to explain that to immigration, you know, because a child can't be in Spain without a guardian, can they?
This is true. So there's a lot of questions we need to ask to this person, and so get in touch and answer all of those questions. Sorry, I can't remember your name.
Sarah.
I'll find out. Was it Sarah? No, I think Sarah's was the other question.
Oh, was it? That's right.
Yeah, I'm getting them mixed up now. Yeah, send me a message and answer those questions, and we'll get down to the nitty gritty. There we go. So let's get back to timing. We've said that you need your Padron and NIE in place to get your car registration done, or at least the resguardo, like you were talking about. What do you need in place to get your NIE or Padron in the first place?
Yeah, so obviously this is a good question when it comes up, when people get temporary accommodation before they come, and it's very it's good to explain what happens at stage 2 in terms of what do they ask for, the extranjerías, and what do you need when you come. So here in Malaga, for example, the Padron for the first registration, as long as you registered your initial visa at a Malaga address, isn't a necessity anymore. They really don't require it. So, for example, for people moving to Malaga, we have used our office address, and then when they've gone to the extranjería, they're in temporary accommodation. We've switched the documentation so it reflects temporary accommodation. They've got their TIE card with no Padron, and then what we have to do is when they find their permanent address is actually update their address on the government system. Okay, which means that when they come to do their renewal, they should have the correct address registered. You don't actually have to go and hand your card in, lose your card again for 45 days, etc., etc. It's just a notification to them. Other provinces are slightly different. So if you don't have the same registered address on your say, so if you were going to Almeria, for example, and you used a correspondence address in Almeria to get the NLV approved, because they get approved in the provinces, they don't get approved in Madrid, they go to the local immigration offices. Then when you you have a different address on your AX17 when you go to register the visa to the one that you used in the same province, 99% of the time they're going to ask you for a Padron to update the address. And that's where people make them unstuck if they haven't got permanent address at that point. Yeah, so you might, if you haven't got a long-term rental or you haven't got a property to register yourself at, you've used a correspondence address in the province, but you're now at a different address, which is not a permanent address. When you go to your appointment, they may ask for a Padron to update that address. So really, if you're a first-time registration, never had an IE before, if you are coming over and you know where you're going to live, then when you on your non-lucrative visa forms, and when you come to register your NLV, once you've got it, those two really need to tally up if you don't think you're going to have a Padron. So
Okay.
the Padron is all about if there's a discrepancy between the address that's registered with the police and the address where you're currently staying in Spain or where you want to live in Spain.
And he's just asking, I think we answered this before, but we'll answer it again. Do you need to be registered on the Padron before you can buy a car?
Well, this is a good thing. Let's answer this question because this is a common misconception. Now, actually, no, you don't, because let's in this sense. But the reason there's a lot of things have happened surrounding this, which goes back to our first point, which I want to explain about the Padron. Now, the DGT and gestors in general, people who do transfer of ownerships of vehicles, including concesionarios like the main dealers and stuff, will always tell you you need a Padron. Now, the truth is, the DGT will also accept rental contracts and property deeds, right? It could be hard work at times. They don't always accept rental contracts and property deeds for non-residents. So if you are a resident or got proof of residence, it's easier to be on the Padron. So yes, in all intents and purposes, you do need a Padron if you're going through the residency process to buy a car, because you should have one anyway. But if you're a non-resident, in known circumstances, you should have a Padron. Okay. If you're non-resident, you've got your NIE, you want to buy a car to keep here in Spain and just drive around, you're legally entitled to do so, but you should always use either your property deeds or long-term rental. Plenty of people have long-term rentals and travel in and out now, you know, to buy a car. Never sign on the Padron. And the reason I say this is because we've had 2 or 3 cases now where people have got visas, okay, but they've only got to retirement age now. They weren't able to do it before Brexit, but they've got a property here, and when they've bought their vehicle here, they're advised they need to sign on the Padron. Right? They've signed on the Padron, maybe 2017, 18, 19, whatever. Then they've moved. You go to customs, and customs say to you, right, okay, then give me Padron, give me this, give me that. They take one look at the Padron, but, oh, no, you signed on the Padron 2018. That's not a change of residence. You've been here this whole time. They're like, no, I've got visa. Customs do not like waiving tax. So if you've got a Padron which is over 12 months old, because you're advised to do so back in the day to buy a car, then you won't be able to waive the tax on a vehicle and quite possibly your shekels. So it's definitely worth any non-residents who are looking at coming who may have signed on by accident to get off the Padron now.
There we go. Jason's saying, what is a Padron? There we go. Let's go back to basics, Jason.
It's Padron's 2 things. It's a really nice pepper that you can eat fried at a tapper, or it's a town hall registration, which proves where you live. It's like a council electoral one.
Yeah, it's almost like voter registration, but more than that.
And we're very guilty of doing that, because the more and more you learn about Spain, I'm very guilty of talking about something because I know about it and not actually explaining what it is. It's my fault.
Yeah, very often I know the people I talk to as well, that, you know, we've said DGT a few times without saying that's the Department of Transport, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, we need to. Again, that goes back to me plugging our APITS exhibition, because that's when I go there, that's what I want to be talking about. People who have no idea at all, you know, what's happening. People complete, you know, agreeing to Spain. You don't want to be talking to people explaining what Padrons are, Social Security, DGT, ITV, all the acronyms.
Yeah, I did a whole video on that. I didn't put the Padron on that, but all of the acronyms, the NIEs, TIEs, and ITV, all of that stuff. Yeah, so we've got all that somewhere. on this site. What else? Is there anything else that the Padron's important for that you can't do without?
Yeah, obviously registering your goods. I mean, if you've got children, then you need the Padron to register the children at school as well. You know, generally the Padron is your proof of address in Spain. So things like, and you would have done this, I think you did a video on it where you changed your non-residence bank account to a residence bank account, then you would need that as proof of the address, you know, in
Yeah.
Spain. So, you know, the Padron is when you're a resident and you've got your permanent address, you know, if you haven't, for any reason, signed on the Padron, it's a good idea to do so. There is a common myth that you have to renew it every 3 months. You don't have to renew it every 3 months. As third country nationals, you have to tell the town hall every 2 years that you're still at the same address. And so you'll get a registration. When you go to register on the Padron, you'll go and you'll register, and your registration there is recorded at the town hall. Now, when you come to do any administrative activities as such, you may need to prove your address, which means you're going to need a certificate of that registration, which is called a certificado de empadronamiento, what we refer to as a Padron certificate. That certificate has a validity of 90 days in front of an administrative organisation. But it doesn't mean you have to renew after the 90 days. It just means it runs out. Yeah. And if you need another one, you can go back and get another one.
Yeah. And you only need it if somebody says, we need an up-to-date Padron.
Yes. Yeah. So I had it recently we've had it recently with the school thing. You know, the kids are starting in September. We had to submit some documents the royal we. I didn't do any of it. My wife Lara did. But back in May, and then there's just something come up now. So you know, you would get a new one and just submit it. A lot of places do them online, digital certificate, or you can just drop in and get one.
Liz and I have been asked for one by Antonio's office, our Gestor, and because we're going to get our driving licenses swapped exchanged rather from Irish to Spanish. So, and one of the things they need is an up-to-date Padron.
Yeah. So they'll have that. And you've got 3 types as well. So you've got obviously you've got the family Padron where you all figure on the Padron together. That when in some operations it's better just to have everybody on one place.
Yeah, we've got that.
You've got that, haven't you? So you can get individual ones or you can get historic ones. So a lot of people, when they were doing the WA, the withdrawal agreement residencies, had to get historic Padrons, which showed the time, the date, when they registered on there, etc., etc.
So a bit of a backdated one.
Yeah.
Jason is asking, what's a Gestor? Well, for a start, it's spelt with a G, Jason. That'll help you actually look it up online. I've known a few people who've been searching for ages for a Gestor spelt with an H, but Spanish G is just pronounced like an H. And Gestor deals with your administrative paperwork, basically. A lot of them are accountants, qualified accountants. They don't have to be a Gestor. In fact, you don't have to be anything to be a Gestor. You can just start up. But it's a good idea to have a qualified one. Some of them are lawyers as well, I think. And are they anything else, Chris?
Yeah, I mean they have. It doesn't exist, does it, in the UK? But everybody, I mean, people who generally have a business in the UK will have an accountant, won't they? But they don't have a sort of a general manager. Whereas we have Gestors are sort of general managers, aren't they, of your either your fiscal affairs and stuff that you do on a day-to-day basis between yourself and any sort of organisation, like Social Security, Hacienda. So I think you could. It roughly translates to a manager of administrative affairs, doesn't it? Basically in Spain. So you have specific professionals and specialists. Like we deal with immigration. We do a lot of immigration for Antonio's clients, but Antonio deals with everything on our front, even on a family level as well. With Social Security and stuff. He also holds he would be the go-to person. God forbid anything happened to me for my family. He understands, what the insurances are in place for me and what they would need to do, and he holds a copy of my will and stuff like that. So not all Gestors do that. Some lawyers offer that facility, but it's always good to have someone like that who you can refer to.
Yeah, and he's kind of extra. It's like accountant plus. He's an assessor.
He's an assessor. He's both. He's actually qualified assessor and gestor. So sometimes you only get gestors who are qualified to deal with Tráfico issues, who don't do asesoría, where they don't do contabilidad. Sometimes you get ones which only do contabilidad, and then you get the ones that generally do both.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Hope that answers your question, Jason. He says he's going to be employing you when he retires and moves to Spain, so you can sort it all out for me.
Does he want to go? Does he want to go to Birmingham? I think Jason, give me your email address.
Yeah, do you want to go to Birmingham? I think. Did you say?
Jason?
I think Jason's hometown is Birmingham. Is that what you said earlier?
I'll
Was
see you
that somebody
Birmingham.
else? Yeah. And hello, Ian Fleming. He's joined us later. I completely forgot to say hello. And Tom H is on there as well. Tom says, here you go, a plug for one of for our affiliates as well. Can I mention I used Apostille Services a couple of weeks ago, and it's hard to put in words how grateful I am to Zach. The service was nothing short of brilliant. There you go. And he's affiliated to both us and Upsticks as well, I think.
He is, yeah. Zach's, I mean, he's had again. Zach's. It's quite hard in these August months. It's sort of what goes on behind the scenes is like very red-faced, because you can't get stuff done and you get let down by, you book a courier doesn't turn up like it normally would do, and there's a lot of, should we say, red-faced administratives, and you get on the phone, hi. So and I know that Zach goes through a lot of that as well, because we've had a lot of, he was like, the FCDO didn't turn up, they didn't do this and they did this wrong. But you can't relay that always to the clients. Is what we have to deal with that behind the scenes. So I know he's had a turbulent time, and he's doing his absolute best to crack stuff up for the clients. That's great plug there.
That is excellent. Liz, my wife, always says, if a company who haven't done the job right blames another company for being late, or just passes the blame on to somebody else, then use a different company. But if they say, if they take all the blame and say they'll sort it out, then that's the professional thing to do, isn't it?
I don't know. It sounds a bit like a driving license scenario, doesn't
it? Yeah, pass the buck. Yeah. So here we go. Jason says, yeah, we'll go for a curry.
Nice.
Do you mean in Birmingham? Do you want a couple of tickets, Jason? Shall we give you I know you didn't answer the question. We'll there's only one person answered the question so far, and I
think Jason deserves a couple of tickets there, don't you?
Yeah, especially if he's only just down the road, he can nip in and see you, buy you a curry.
Yeah.
There you go. The curries are on Jason, everyone.
Brilliant.
And he says, do I need to go for a test for motorbike in Spain?
If you've got a British license at the moment, you have to go through a test for everything.
Yeah, you do. And if you go for your driving test for a car, you don't get the bike license as part of that. You've got to go for a separate bike test. So is it worth doing that, or do you want to wait for the possible exchange, which might not happen until next year by now, the way it's looking?
There wasn't even a Friday update, was there, this week?
No, there's a lot of moaning about that on Facebook, about saying he didn't even bother to write to us this week. I mean, even when he does write to them, they always say, "Oh, it's exactly the same as he said last week." So, he's not going to win whatever happens. I mean,
that's true.
There's nothing he can do now, because Parliament's not open in the UK until the 5th for a start, so nothing can go through there. And even if everything was sorted out with all of the annexes that they've got to finally nail down, it's got to go through Spanish Parliament and through UK Parliament, and you've only got this little window of opportunity between the 5th of September and I think it's the 23rd of September, when all of the party conferences start happening, which is about three weeks, is it, for the three major parties? Yeah. They've got a week each, so that means they're all off on holiday basically again. They all go to Blackpool or Bournemouth or whatever it is. So I can't see it happening before the end of September. Yeah.
no, there's a small matter of a leadership battle going on there. Everybody's focusing on as well. So
Is there really? I'd never noticed. It's not been on the news at all. Yeah.
it's such a shame. It's such a, you know what, for people, it's a niche. You know, it's such a small. I'm sure to them, it may be whatever side it's on. I'm not laying any blame anywhere. It's a stone in the shoe, but to some people, but for everybody else, it's so important. You know, for our niche, what we're talking about here, it's just something that everybody's like literally looking, you know, with bated breath. But you know, for the people who have to sign it off, I don't know. I'm not saying it's not important. They will consider it as important, but maybe they're dealing with other things as well, and it's not being rushed through because of that. You know.
Mhm. Yeah. Yes. Rushing things through, that's not what it's all about, is it?
Mm.
It's bureaucracy. There you go. There was a question just up here that people are talking about, and I've heard a few people on Facebook talking about this as well. Does anyone know if experienced UK drivers need to display L plates after newly qualifying, passing the test basically for a Spanish license? This is really interesting. There's officially, yes, everybody who passes the Spanish driving test needs to put on the L plates for, is it a year or two? Um,
Yeah. I think.
Alan says, my driving instructor said no, but the examiner said yes. And Ruth Collins, who's been on the two shows that we've done about the driving license debacle, her husband passed his test, and the driving school said nothing about it. The examiner said nothing about it. He's not been using it, but are Traffico going to enforce that kind of thing if they pull you up for something else and they see you've not got L plates on, but you've only just passed your test, then maybe you're going to get a fine for that.
Yeah, that's it. You know, that's the police who stop. So traffic code, the Guardia Civil traffic police, or wherever you are in Spain, you know, if they pull you and they see the date in your license, you haven't got plates in the back, well, that's either a slap on the wrist, we know your circumstance, or we fancy some money, really. But
Hmm.
yeah, I think it's a year. We're trying to think back to now when Lara passed her test. No, I'll tell you what, it was Ruth Baldessari was on, who wrote a small piece for our website.
Hmm.
And she wrote in there that she had to have I think that if I remember correctly, I'll double check afterwards, but for a year. That reminded me, actually, I was thinking, wow, I remember when my wife passed here, but that was her first pass. She'd never passed in the UK
Hmm.
many years ago when it was 2005. And I can always remember having to get because I was driving around with the L plates in the back.
Hmm. Yes. So that's a official yes. Do you take the risk? Mm-mm-mm-mm. That's interesting, actually. That relates to something that I was talking to. I mentioned Catalina, who just moved here a month ago. They moved from Canada, but about 10 years ago, they lived in Ireland for a while. So they've got Irish passports. Now, this form that I went to the notary, the notaria, where I happened to meet her, that I was handing in is something that if you get your Irish passport by naturalisation, you're supposed to, if you move country, you're supposed to fill in this form once every year and get it notarized, properly
Really?
ID'd, and sent in to the Department of Citizenship, whatever that is called. Yeah, once every year. And Catalina said, "Oh, I've not done that. Does that mean I'm not a citizen anymore?" They've moved here now using their Irish passports. And presumably, if they've been in Canada for more than 10 years, they'd have renewed their passport.
Yeah.
So even the department isn't saying anything about it. So again, it's another case of it'll probably be okay unless something happens at customs and they go, "Oh, there's a red flag." Um, Suddenly you've been out of the country for this long. So you can, and it does say on the form that you send in, your citizenship may be revoked. It doesn't say you'll definitely be revoked, but they can do it. So maybe they've just put that in place just in case they need to. So
Yeah.
there you go. It's one of those it depends answers. Actually, Alan Plumbridge said it depends. I've got a video coming out called "It Depends" on Wednesday, and it's all about this. Or we should call it the uncertainty principle, shouldn't we? Everything depends on something else.
Yeah,
Uh,
I mean, there's a lot of circumstances where we always have this sort of red flag level of things, you know, but there's things that you know are ticking the box, but there's certainly a lot of it depends. Because it's been dealt with an individual. You know, you can get, as we said before, 2 exact cases, and one might come across problems and one won't.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the withdrawal agreement was a massive. We saw that the withdrawal agreement, didn't we? You know, that really was, and it depends.
Yes, so much of that. So everybody look out for that video. It's coming out on. I've written it, but I've not filmed it yet. But it's coming out 5 o'clock Wednesday evening Spanish time, and it's very funny. It's got Walter Ego and very angry Tommy, who's getting angrier by the minute, especially when I keep saying it depends. So there, look out for that one. Jason says yes, he'd love 2 tickets to the NEC Live. See you there, Chris. Have you got his email address? I think he's had a prize before.
I don't think so. So just I might, if you had a prize before, I might. But you drop it across. So then what we'll do is we'll stick it. We'll stick it on the list. So
yeah. So that's info at upsticks.es. Would that get you?
Yeah, info out of support at upsticks.es. Info at upsticks. Oh, actually no. Hang on a minute. I'm not. You see, it's Apits at upsticks.es. APITS. That's a place in the sun.
Aha, excellent. Yes, do that then.
So Apits at upsticks.es. I forgot that we'd registered a special email address.
And we'll be giving out the prizes in a minute. So if anybody else has the answer, Jason said, sorry, he can't give you the. He's at work, so he's not allowed to Google at work by the sound of it, so he can't get the answer. There we go. And Gaza, he's late to the party. Gonna have to catch up later. And yeah, so what was I going to say? I've forgotten. Barry from Unitech had a question. Could a serving police officer move to Spain and join the Spanish police as they can if they move to Oz or New Zealand?
I believe you have to be a national to join the forces here or the police here or be a politician here.
Fair enough. And your Spanish would have to be amazing to join any kind of governmental organisation. Yeah.
I mean, it's always a discussion that we've had with some of our friends. But for example, my kids are British nationals, but we're permanent residents. We hold all residential rights, and there's no need for us to nationalise ourselves unless at one point in the future they wanted to take a career path that meant that they need to be a Spanish national. Then evidently we'd go down that route to do that. You never know what happens in the future. What they decide to be, we'll do whatever needs to be done. But you know.
Yes. Talking of the police, we had our big celebration there, La Noche del Vino, which was indeed, it was more than a noche. It was a whole dia and a noche of wine and celebrations and bands and everything. And there was flamenco that went on until about 4 o'clock in the morning. But we were sitting in the afternoon next to one of the plazas, and 7 or 8 Guardias Civil, the hard police, walked through really slowly, glaring at everybody. It was the one of the most scary things I've ever had happen to me. They certainly know how to. They must go to scariness classes, because not all of them were carrying guns, but it felt like they were all pointing them at you, even the ones that didn't have them there. You imagined there was probably 3 or 4 hidden around their body, but some of them had the assault rifles ready to use. Scary. And one of our people on our table, one of the guys, a guy from America, got out his camera phone, and one of them went. It was just like, oh no, can't do that, can't take a picture of them, and try and ask them to smile and say cheese. They wouldn't do that.
No, I mean, it is obviously the police do command a lot of respect here, and they're quite militant, to what people be used to in the UK. But I mean, at the end of the day, you always feel safe, though, don't you? I mean, if you've got nothing to worry about, you've done nothing wrong. Then having police forces around, which are quite scary, I suppose, is a good thing.
It is, yeah. And of course, there are several different branches of the police force. They are particularly individual. They're the hard ones. But the local police are just like the old bobbies on the beat, aren't they? They seem to
Yeah,
know everybody in the village, and they were very chatty with everybody. They're nice.
yeah. I mean, they can be forgiving. The traffic police, DGT, the White Hill Traffic Police. I came out of a place called Tebber. I don't know if you've ever heard of Tebber. It's got a big castle. It's up near Rondaway.
Yeah.
And I've been doing a race, used to be running, and I'd come there all happy, you're a bit excited, completely jumped to stop. But completely jumped to stop. It's absolutely blatantly went into the middle of the road. There's no car coming anywhere. Went into the middle of the road and then pulled out. And the next thing you know, police bike. I was, oh, where did they come from? What are they pulling me over for? I didn't even see the stop.
Mm-hmm.
They pulled me over, and I said, oh, here we go. My fault completely. And when they told me, I looked back and I went, oh, I did that. I'm really sorry. It's a fair cop, Gov.
Mm-hmm.
And he walked away my license, and he came back and he said to me, it could be 4 points and €400, right? Which is reduced to €200. And I was like, well, look, yeah, it's fair enough. I was overexcited and I jumped the stop. And he said, but I can see that you've got your 15 points and you've had your license here for X amount of year. You've always been a good boy. So he said, you wouldn't do it again, will you? And I went, no, definitely not. And he let me on my way. So, there are a lot of bad stories there. That was completely my fault. And they did let me off.
There you go. So I know that I was once stopped for speeding past an unmarked police car, and when he was talking to me through the window, I was so like, oh, really, really sorry. I've only had this car a little amount of time, and it's obviously faster than the ones I've been used to driving, and I was really, and I said, really, was I really going that fast? He said, well, you can come in the back of the police car and have a look if you want. We'll show you the video. And went, no, why should you be lying to me? So, and he did. He just told me off and said, don't you ever do that again. And I never have. I drive at 30 all the time now. There you go. Oh, Alan's got a question about visa appointments. Oh, Jason said, please put Upsticks' email address in the chat that I need to send my details to for prize. I'll put them in the comments below, Jason, because sometimes after we've stopped going live, the live chat disappears. And so you'll be able to find it in the comments below. So Alan's question, going back to visa appointments, is there a way of asking if there's any cancellations? As long as I get 24 hours notice, I could attend.
Yeah, again, what the Edinburgh have told us is that the only communication that regarding the visa appointments has to be via email. So we've actually requested that. We said just the next possible appointment, and it's basically they've just got to email back.
Mm-hmm. There you go. So, Jason, I'll make sure there's a note of that email address in the comments.
Well, what would be good if the other consulates adopted the same system as London. London have a fantastic system now. Well, fantastic. It's offline at the moment because there's no appointments, but at least we know where we stand with them. We're not dependent on actually somebody answering an email or the phone.
Okay. Anything else we need to say about timing of stuff when you're coming over? Anything we missed out?
I suppose flexibility is key. Obviously, be prepared for delays around summer times or even Christmas at the moment. Last year, Christmas wasn't too bad, but we know that the December to the King's period is always, not the best. And then when you're coming over, evidently, depending on what your plans are, if you're bringing your shekels with you, then, maybe plan to not have them for a while while you're getting your ducks in a row this end. And then certainly with a vehicle, you can drive as a tourist here until you get yourself registered. But once you are registered with your residency, you really need to start the process of registering your vehicle then. And you can get things like temporary plates while you're going through that process.
Great stuff. So, is it time for the prizes?
Yes, let's do the prizes.
I think it is. Let's give the prizes. So the prizes are, we'll give, for each person, we'll give 2 tickets, I think, for It's the A Place in the Sun. What do they call it? The exhibition?
Place in the Sun exhibition, NEC, 23rd to 25th. I'll keep plugging it so someone
Yeah.
turns up. I
And
don't want to
you're
sit
on.
down my own. Don't leave my own. This could be a big disaster now.
So you're on stand E11.
E11, yeah. I'll give you a link to. We've finished all our media, so they offer you a media sort of package and that, and we're just going to be uploading videos over the following month, which relate to Place in the Sun. But the actual link and everything is already there, where you can come and find us and initial information. So I'll send you that so people can see us.
Brilliant. And actually, Jason, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to put that address in the comments. I'm going to put it in the video description, so you can always see it there. It'll be next to where it says upsticks.es. It'll be in that section, so it'll be there forever.
Yeah.
And it won't disappear down when anybody else comments underneath there. There we go. So prizes. So Jason has had one of the prizes. So 2 tickets for you, and there'll be a curry between you and Chris there. Don't know who's paying for it. You can decide that between yourself. And so the other prize winner was the one who answered the question was Corina. I'm just looking up to see that. Corina May, or Corinna. And so, Corinna, if you can send your details to either to us or to Chris at that email address, or if you send it to info@YouTooSpain.com, I'll get that and pass it on. But quicker to get to Chris, because there's only a time window of about a week before he needs all the information, because there's a sort of a form that needs to be filled in to make it all official. And Annie Podmore says, we went to the exhibition last year and it was really useful, well worth it. There you go.
Oh, good. That's good news.
It is. So shall we give the other 3 sets of tickets to people who answer the question in the comments? Let's have another question, shall we? It's got to be a different question for them. Let's see, another Spain question. I'll tell you what, I'm going to get a random Spain question off the internet. And let's just look up. There we go. What happens if I put Spain in here? No, that doesn't happen. Spain. Let's pick the first website that comes up. Wikipedia. This is an easy one to find. What were the years of the Civil War?
Well, that's a good one.
And how long did the dictatorship last until? There we go. So that was until the end of Franco. There we go. That's the question. Bit of history for you. Very easy to find. And it's the sort of thing that you should know. There's a kind of law that I was asked about that's going to be recognising people who were sent out of Spain at the time of the Civil War, and it's Sanchez is trying to bring it in.
Right. Okay.
And I can't remember what it's called now, but yeah, that's going through Parliament, I think, at the moment. And it's remembering people. And a lot of people lost their citizenship, I think, because of it.
Yeah.
And now they say that they're going to give citizenship to those people. That they've all died now since then, but they were talking about giving them to their children as well. So that's got repercussions for people who are the children or grandchildren of people who were deposed. Is that the word? Or sent from Spain. There we go.
I wonder how they prove that, though. I wonder how they prove that. That's, because obviously a lot of the registry documents. So to immediately switch to like paperwork, I'm thinking, that'd be. It's all right passing a law. We have a lot of things passed, but how do you implement it?
Interesting, yeah. Well, we'll see if that works. And of course, if the right-wing parties get in the election next year, sometime next year, then they're going to revoke it all and not accept it anyway.
They'd kibosh that, wouldn't they? So.
Yeah. Any chance of the question above from me, please, guys, says Ian Fleming. End of my tether right now. Oh, did you ask a question up there? Ian Fleming, let's find the question. Sorry, missed that one, Ian. Where is the question, Ian Fleming? Oh, if we can get our passports back during the process, No, that was an answer. Ask the question again, Ian, very quickly. And there we go. Yeah, quickly. We've got about a 20-second delay on here, so we'll wait. I'll wait until that question comes through. Anything else that we've got to say, Chris, to anybody while we're waiting?
No, I think that's it. I mean, I think we're speaking about, flexibility is key. And if you had an NIE number before, it definitely helps with the process and how smoothly it goes here. Evidently, if you've had an NIE number before, you can also track your visa process a lot easier. And a lot of the consulates at the moment aren't giving the tracking numbers. So yeah, that helps. If you haven't, then maybe just when you get here, allow for that extra bit of flexibility while you're getting yourself registered.
Aha. Right, I've
So,
just been looking further up for Ian's. Ian says we're 11 weeks in progress on Monday. We have to get to Spain for our dog. Can't even get a hold of them to get our passports back. Can we contact them any other way? Tried phone and email, and if we can get our passports back during the process, so can we fly back? Yeah, he's in a right mess. He's pulling his hair out there.
I can imagine. I don't know what consulate Ian went to. I think we might have spoken to Ian. I don't know if he went to Manchester and Edinburgh, but
it's Edinburgh.
Yeah, it's a nightmare. We were having an absolute nightmare this week with trying to get any sort of tracking information out of them, and then evidently we were saying there with Alan's question, he had an appointment to go and they cancelled it, and then haven't issued another. I mean, historically, Edinburgh, unfortunately, has always been the worst for communication. Also, at the appointments, we recently had an appointment where they were asking for stuff for a minor, which just isn't right. Which that's wrong. But you have to go with what they say. You can't, we're not there to qualify. You can't tell them, but they're asking for medical certificates and stuff for minors, which and documents which are a private document to be apostilled, which can be notarized, but it can't be. So, there's things like that happen in Edinburgh. So unfortunately, if they're not answering emails or calls, there's not a lot you can do. That's their only right. And it looks like, for some reason, they've cancelled appointments for the next 2 weeks as well.
If he says if they can get the passports back, will they continue the process? They will, won't they?
Yeah. If you can get them back, then it's in process. The reason that they retain the passports, we believe, is just easier for them. As I said as well, Ian, obviously he got tracking when he left an envelope to track the passport coming back, and we had a client who's just turned up, no notification, no anything like that, and it just turned up. And we've also had a couple which were showing on the system. We were checking them with NIE numbers that were showing in progress, and the visas arrived, and it still says in progress on the text system. So it's not always the best. You can keep on top of it. Like, unfortunately, part of the new law was that they're going to improve the systems and make it easier.
Yes, hope that happens soon. Sorry, we can't give you a more hopeful answer, Ian. Annie Podmore's been asking, how do you track your application with your NIE? Because she got a reference starting ESP that she can track on the Sutramite consular site, but my husband wasn't given one, so wondering if we could track his by his NIE.
Yeah, there's two ways. You can either do it on, there is another site which is very similar to the Sutramite, which is actually on the government website, the Extranjería website, which asks for the same details using the NIE. So it asks for the date of application, the NIE number, and date of birth. You can track it on there. Or there's actually a number that you can text, but only if you've got a Spanish mobile, and it texts back what the results are. So, and it's normally pretty good. Sometimes it'll go down for a whole day, you won't get any back, and then sometimes it's very responsive. So there's two ways to track if you've got an NIE number but haven't got your code as such to use in Sutramite.
Okay, that's good to know.
I can send them to you if you want them.
Yes, please. Yeah, we'll put them. Yeah, we'll put them down below. Ian says we may just rock up and tell them we want the passports back. We can't stay in the UK any longer. It's demoralising. He's got to get back to to his dogs, I think you said earlier. Nasty.
I mean, look, if you rock up, then I'll be honest with you. I was thinking of flying myself. When things are happening in concerts, I quite often jump on a plane and go and stick my head in the door and find out what the hell's going on, really. But it's he may be let through the door, may not. That's unfortunate. But yeah, the only thing they're telling us at the moment is you have to wait.
Yeah, so give it a try, Ian, and good luck, and let us know what happens.
Yes,
if you're not too busy buying your plane tickets and getting over there. There we go. So that's about it for the day, I think. Unless anybody has any more questions, we'll say goodbye to Chris, and thank you so much again.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, so everybody give him a wave, a big virtual hug, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time. And I'm not sure what we'll be talking about then, but we'll decide shortly.
Are we supposed to be at a festival in 2 weeks' time?
No, I think that's in 3 weeks' time. And that show is going to be a recording with John Nelson and his wife. I'm going to talk to them.
Fantastic!
Talk to them about their process. So I'm going to record it there, and of course, while it's being broadcast on the Saturday morning, he'll still be at the festival. So there we go. Thank you, Jason. Great show again. Bye, says Alan. And John Bentley says good luck to Ian. Yeah, everybody say good luck to Ian and everybody else who is hunting their visa desperately. There we go. Okay then. Thanks very much, Chris. We'll see you soon.
See you soon.
Bye-bye. Excellent. Well, that was a lovely chat once again. Loads and loads of helpful information. I hope you got what you need. And once again, good luck to everybody who is desperate to get their visas back from the embassies. It's that time of year. It's the first time that I've actually sort of gone through it properly. I mean, I was doing this over a year ago, so I knew there was a problem with August, but it was a weird year last year in particular because of more COVID lockdowns and there's been strikes and all that kind of thing, but it should have been sorted out by now, and no, delays once again. So next week on our Cozy Family Settee, we'll either be talking about renting property and this myth of the 11-month contract, which is really important for those of you moving over there soon, and talking about getting your Padron and all that kind of thing. It fits in with everything we've been talking about today. Or alternatively, we'll have a surprise guest YouTube star if he's back from his holidays in time. I've been having troubles getting the email communication with him because he's off on holiday, and I don't blame him. And if he's confirmed during this coming week, then he'll be on. Best subscribe if you haven't already. Click on the notifications bell, and you'll be able to be the first who finds out which guest we have on. I'll announce it on the Facebook group as well. So do join up the Facebook group. The addresses for all of those are in the video description below. So if I don't see you in the virtual Cafe of Cash on Monday, yes, do you know about that show? Join us Monday lunchtime. If I don't see you then, I'll see you next Saturday at our regular time of 9 o'clock if you're in the UK or Ireland, or 10 o'clock if you're in Spain already. And my lovely wife Liz says hi. She's doing yoga with people today. There's a pamper day going on outside, but you can join her for free virtual yoga and meditation on her YouTube channel, YouTooYoga. The link is below with all of the other ones. Scroll down, you'll find loads. You'll also find the time codes, as I said earlier, and as soon as I've done those, I do them straight after the show. So that's all for this week. Somebody tidy up the tapas and pick up that paella. I can't even pronounce it, honestly. It's not easy to say, is it? Right, time to head into the virtual Spanish pool. It's still hot out here. So peace and love, and I will see you next time. Get ready to dance. It's cosmic time.